I awoke to muffled sobs. My throat burned as if on fire, and my head felt like 1,000 bees were stinging it at once. This physical pain was nothing compared to the harsh reality I had just comprehended. I had transmigrated into the body of Susan Lai, the legitimate daughter of the general's manor, who had just drowned. No, more accurately, she had fallen into the freezing lake herself while trying to harm her half-sister, Susan too, all to compete for the attention of Crown Prince Julian. And I, a soul who had sold myself to capitalism and died of exhaustion in the 21st century, had transmigrated into this useless body the moment its original owner drew her last breath. "Sister, HHH, you're finally awake? You scared me half to death." A figure as pure white as a lotus with a beautiful, tear-streaked face rushed to the side of the bed. This was Susan too, my beloved half-sister, the universally adored female lead of this script, a standard white lotus. The original owner, out of jealousy that Susan too was cherished by our father and noticed by the Crown Prince, had plotted to push her into the lake, then pretended to jump in to save her, hoping to claim credit. The result? The original owner's acting skills were abysmal, and her swimming skills were non-existent. Susan too was rescued heroically by the Crown Prince, while the original owner hit her head on a rock ledge and drowned. I was reborn, but it seemed a little too late. The title of vicious woman was already firmly attached to me. "Ow," I moaned, not acting, but genuinely in pain. "Sister," Susan too burst into tears. "Don't scare me. Father has already confined you. Don't do anything reckless." I glanced around. This room, though supposedly belonging to the legitimate daughter, was pitifully sparse. The furnishings were old and shabby, and there were only two timid-looking maids huddled in a corner, truly the classic depiction of a disfavored young lady. The original owner had lived a truly failed life. She was the legitimate daughter, but her birth mother died young. The stepmother, Lady Liu, Susan too's birth mother, held absolute power, transforming me, the legitimate daughter, into an outcast in father's eyes. On top of that, she was brainless, constantly chasing after a crown prince who didn't care for her at all. Was living like that not exhausting? "I'm hungry." I ignored Susan too's dramatics and looked directly at a maid. "Bring me something to eat, top-grade bird's nest soup." The room fell silent. Even Susan too forgot to cry, her large, tear-filled eyes staring at me as if I had grown a second head. "Sister," she stammered, "father is furious. How can you still ask for bird's nest soup?" "I just narrowly escaped death. Can't I even have one good meal?" I frowned. I am the legitimate daughter of the general's manor, not a prisoner. Or is the general's manor so poor it can't afford a bowl of bird's nest soup? If so, say so earlier, and I'll just go to sleep to save on food. The maids trembled. Susan too bit her lip, looking wronged. Just then, the door was forcefully pushed open. Lady Liu, the stepmother, entered, followed by a large entourage of old women and maids. She was dressed in brocade and silk, exquisitely made up, and looked at me with a mixture of disgust and contempt. "Awake already, you wretched girl? Awake, and still daring to make demands?" Lady Liu's voice was sharp as a knife. "Susan Lai, you've made the general's manor lose all face. Your father said that once you recover, you are to be immediately sent to Tranquil Temple for quiet contemplation. Don't stay here and tarnish our family's reputation." Tranquil Temple. The name sounded peaceful. Becoming a nun meant no more vying for favor, no more seeing these people's faces, just vegetarian meals, chanting, watching the clouds and sky. "Perfect," I nodded immediately. "When do I leave? Can I go now? I feel fine, just a little hungry." This time, it was Lady Liu's turn to be stunned. Her script clearly involved me crying, begging, clinging to father's leg to stay, or creating another scene, not me agreeing so quickly and decisively. Susan too quickly grabbed Lady Liu's arm. "Mother, don't be angry with sister. She must have." The cold water must have muddled her brain. She's talking nonsense. "I'm perfectly lucid," I cut in. "Becoming a nun is fine, but before I go, I demand top-grade bird's nest soup to nourish my body so I'll have the strength to knock on the temple bell. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be too weak, die of starvation halfway there, and trouble the general's manor with carrying my corpse back." Lady Liu trembled with rage. You dare." "Why wouldn't I dare?" I smirked. I am still the legitimate daughter of the Su family. Does Aunt Liu want outsiders to say the general's manor mistreats its legitimate daughter while spending money on gowns for the concubine's daughter? Or does she want me to eat a bowl of bird's nest soup and then quietly disappear? This hit Lady Liu where it hurt. As a stepmother, her greatest concern was her reputation and her image of virtue. She gritted her teeth. Fine, give her the food, we'll see how long your smugness lasts. With that, she flicked her sleeve and left. Susan too quickly bowed and hurried after her. Before she left, she cast me a complex look, a mix of satisfaction and subtle unwillingness. Oh, I understood now. Their script was for me to be punished, to be miserable, so she could play the role of the kind younger sister coming to plead. But I wasn't cooperating, I was ruining her stage. The bird's nest soup was brought quickly, indeed top grade. I sat up, spooning a generous helping. It was sweet, fragrant, and incredibly tender. What a treat! Living a capitalist life, I never had the money to eat this every day. I've decided this life, vying for favor, fighting over men, you all go fight amongst yourselves. This young lady just wants to be a useless noblewoman, eat well, dress beautifully, and sleep soundly. Anyone who blocks my path to enjoying life, they are my enemy. And so, my confinement began, feeling more like a vacation. In the mornings, I demanded Hangzhou dim sum. At noon, I requested jade foot soup. In the evenings, I began to demand tonics made with 1,000-year-old ginseng. Lady Liu was furious, but she couldn't let me starve to death. Moreover, I discovered a secret. My father, the powerful general, seemed to owe my birth mother a great deal. So, even though he disliked me, as long as I didn't cause major trouble, he wouldn't let Lady Liu actually kill me. Susan, too, visited me a few times, always looking like a tearful fairy, advising me to repent and apologize to the Crown Prince. I was gnawing on a honey-glazed roast chicken leg. You say, I licked my fingers, the Crown Prince? Oh, he likes you, so just accept it. Your sister wishes you well, don't bother me while I'm eating. Susan, too, was speechless. My peaceful life lasted 5 days before Lady Liu returned. This time, she wasn't angry. She smiled. Susan Lai, get ready. In 3 days, you are personally summoned by the Empress to attend the imperial banquet. I choked on a melon seed. What? I'm under confinement. Precisely because you are confined, Lady Liu sneered. The Empress wants to see how you have mended your ways. Moreover, your sister will also be attending. You are to go as her backdrop. Make sure to dress appropriately. Don't shame the general's manor again. I understood. They wanted me to go and be a laughingstock for all to see, to highlight Susan Tu's excellence. 3 days later, at the imperial banquet, Susan Tu was indeed the female lead. She wore a white silk gown, fluttering like a fairy, and played a zither piece that captivated the Crown Prince, drawing all eyes to her. As for me, I chose a dark blue dress, almost black and as voluminous as possible. Why? To hide food to take home. I found the most secluded corner, farthest from the Crown Prince and Susan Tu, but closest to the food tables. I focused on my mission of sweeping up snacks: osmanthus cakes, mung bean cakes, stewed chicken. The young ladies around me looked on with strange expressions. Isn't that the eldest young lady, Sue? SHHH, I heard she went mad after being heartbroken. Who told her to compete with young lady 2? I ignored them. Even the most beautiful woman in the world couldn't fill her stomach with just a plate of pastries. I was reaching for the last crystal cake when suddenly the entire hall fell silent. Susan Tu's zither music also stopped. I looked up, still chewing. A chilling, oppressive aura spread through the room. From the main entrance, an ebony wheelchair, pushed by a stone-faced guard, slowly entered. The man in the wheelchair wore dark robes embroidered with subtle gold thread, his long black hair neatly tied back with an ink-colored jade hairpin. He wore a silver mask that covered the left half of his face, the other half revealing a sharp jawline, thin lips, and deep amber eyes. No one needed to introduce him. I knew who this was. Prince Cassian, the only prince not born of the Empress but of the former Empress. He was the war god of Great Yen, but also a cursed Asura. It was said he was crippled in a border battle, his face disfigured, his temperament brutal and bloodthirsty. Even the Crown Prince had to stand up and bow respectfully. Prince Cassian didn't reply. He merely gave the Crown Prince a fleeting glance, a glance that made the Crown Prince stiffen. The wheelchair stopped directly in front of my food table. He turned his head, those amber eyes looking straight at me, chopsticks in hand, mouth covered in cake crumbs. I froze. Cassian looked at me, then at the empty crystal cake plate in front of me. Susan too and Lady Liu, watching from afar, turned pale. They feared I would do something foolish again and provoke this living Asura. He stared at me for a long time, the entire hall holding its breath. Then he suddenly spoke, his voice deep, slightly hoarse, yet strangely magnetic. Eating alone. I blinked. He raised an eyebrow. This prince also wishes to eat. I looked at him, I looked at the empty cake plate, I looked back at him. You're too late, I said, completely honestly. I just ate the last piece. He froze. I thought I heard someone in the hall gasp. 1, 2, 3 seconds. The atmosphere in the hall became so thick that I felt if I struck a match, the whole place would explode. My stupidly honest reply echoed in the absolute silence. Susan, too, not far away, swayed. She covered her mouth, her beautiful eyes filled with horror, as if I had just signed my own death warrant. My stepmother, Lady Liu, was even worse. Her face was as white as if she'd seen a ghost. Which was true, she was seeing a living Asura, and her wretched daughter had just slapped him in the face. The Crown Prince frowned, his gaze at me full of disgust and contempt. He clearly saw me as a stain on the general's manor, a lunatic who didn't know her place. I was only slightly regretful. If only Cassian hadn't appeared just now, I could have calmly stashed 2 more pastries to take home. Now, this was great. All attention was on this obscure corner. I was seriously considering whether I should pretend to faint to escape. A low, husky laugh, like wind whistling through rock crevices, suddenly broke the silence. I snapped my head up. Prince Cassian was laughing. The entire hall, including the Emperor and Empress seated above, was stunned. The notoriously brutal Prince Cassian, who it was said hadn't shown any expression other than coldness and murderous intent for 3 years, was actually laughing. He looked at me, the single amber eye visible through his mask glinting with an inscrutable meaning. Well done, Susan Lai. You are far more daring than your father. The remark was ambiguous, but it was enough to make General Su, my father, who had been silent until now, tremble violently. The Crown Prince quickly stepped forward, shielding the trembling Susan Tu behind him. Imperial uncle, please calm your anger. Susan Lai, after falling into the lake, her mind has been a little unclear. She did not intend to offend you. Lady Liu and Susan Tu also quickly prostrated themselves. Please, Prince Cassian, have mercy. Susan Tu kowtowed, tears streaming down her face. Sister didn't mean it. It's my fault for not looking after her properly. Please punish me instead. A standard sisterly affection, drama. I sighed, feeling truly annoyed. I just wanted to eat my fill. I am perfectly lucid, I said, my voice clear, cutting off Susan Tu's crying. And I did not offend anyone. The cakes are gone, that is the truth. Your Highness, if you wish to eat, I suggest you ask the Imperial kitchen to make more. If earlier was a matchstick, now I had thrown a whole torch into a gunpowder magazine. Silence, Lady Liu shrieked, almost despairing. Susan Lai, the Crown Prince also roared, you are too audacious. Do you know who you are speaking to? I pouted. Of course I know. If I didn't, I wouldn't bother explaining. I lazily looked toward Prince Cassian, awaiting his judgment. Kill me, banish me, or punish me, it's best to just send me back to the general's manor for a good nap. Cassian ignored the Crown Prince's anger and Susan Tu's dramatics. He extended a slender finger, tapping lightly on the armrest of his wheelchair. You, he stared at me, come here. I blinked. Is His Highness calling the table? I shrugged. All right, the boss is calling. How can an employee not go? I brushed off the cake crumbs from my dress. This voluminous dress was indeed useful. I calmly walked to his side, maintaining a safe distance. Prince Cassian, what instructions do you have? He didn't answer immediately. He glanced at the abundant food table in front of me. You just finished the crystal cakes. You also ate osmanthus cakes, stewed chicken, and bird's nest soup. This guy observes really well, I thought. I'm at a growing age a little hungry. Silence enveloped the hall again. I could almost hear Lady Liu grinding her teeth together. This prince is also hungry, Cassian suddenly said. Then, Your H, I was about to say, help yourself, but the glare from the stone-faced guard behind his wheelchair made me swallow my words. I looked down at his hands. They were beautiful but seemed to tremble slightly. Ah, crippled. Not just his legs, but his hands are also difficult to move. I was about to speak when he issued a command, his tone brooking no refusal. You feed this prince. As the dignified, legitimate daughter of the general's manor, Susan Lai was now forced to act as a maid, picking food for someone right in the middle of an imperial banquet. Susan too looked up, her eyes complex. The crown prince clearly looked gloating, as if I deserved such humiliation. Humiliation? I didn't see it that way. I saw this as a job. In my previous life, I sold myself to capitalism. In this life, picking food for an Asura was all the same. All right, I picked up the silver chopsticks next to the unused pair, not the ones I had just used. What would your highness like to eat? Whatever you choose. These two words were the ones I hated most in the world. Whatever you choose meant I had to guess the boss's intentions. Guess wrong, I die. I looked at Cassian. He wore a mask, I couldn't see his expression. I looked at his body, he seemed weak. A sick person should eat something light. I picked up a piece of stir-fried vegetables with mushrooms. I brought it to his mouth. Oh no, his hand could still move, just slowly. He extended his bowl and I placed the vegetable in it. He ate without expression. Next, I picked up a piece of steamed silken tofu. He ate it again. The entire hall watched me attend to Prince Cassian. Susan too bit her lip. It seemed she wanted to rush forward and snatch this task, but she was afraid of the Asura, so she remained seated, feigning weakness. I picked up a third piece, a piece of steamed fish with ginger. This time, Cassian frowned. He didn't eat it. What's wrong? I asked. Does the fish smell fishy? He looked up at me. Do you think this prince is a monk? This prince wants to eat that. He gestured with his chin towards the plate I had just cleared out, my favorite honey-glazed roast chicken. You bastard, I thought. I could bite you to death. Your highness is crippled, but your stomach isn't, is it? Eating such greasy food. But the boss had requested it. I picked up a glistening piece of roast chicken and placed it in his bowl. He ate it, and this time, I saw his amber eyes narrow slightly, looking satisfied. And so, under the astonished gazes of all the officials and nobles, I, Susan Lai, began to pick only meat for Prince Cassian. Roasted venison, fried lamb chops, braised pork hock. Susan too looked at me as if I were a monster. Lady Liu nearly fainted on the spot. The crown prince's face was as black as a cooking pot, perhaps thinking I was deliberately trying to give Prince Cassian indigestion and kill him. Only I knew that I was simply picking the dishes I wanted to eat, but hadn't had the chance to yet. When Cassian finished his third lamb chop, he suddenly gestured to stop. Enough! The guard wiped his mouth. I sighed in relief. Finally, my shift was over. The banquet continued, but no one dared to look in my direction anymore. Susan too also lost her enthusiasm for playing and singing. I quietly retreated to my corner, but this time I didn't dare to eat anymore. I was afraid that Asura would make me eat for him again. Finally, the banquet ended. I breathed a sigh of relief and followed Lady Liu and Susan too out of the palace. Susan Lai. As soon as we were out of the hall, Lady Liu immediately grabbed me, her voice grating. Are you satisfied now? Do you want the entire general's manor to die with you? How dare you provoke Prince Cassian? I didn't, I pulled her hand off. I just spoke the truth. Mother, Susan too weakly tugged on Lady Liu's sleeve. There are many people outside. Let's go home and talk. She looked at me. Sister, you were truly too reckless today. Fortunately, Prince Cassian didn't take it to heart. Otherwise, what otherwise? I scoffed. At worst, I'd be sent to Tranquil Temple a few days earlier. I'm not afraid of you. Lady Liu's face turned red with anger. As we were bickering, a dark shadow flashed past. Blocking our path was Prince Cassian's stone-faced guard. My heart skipped a beat. Damn it, such a grudge? The guard looked at no one else, bowing to me. Eldest young Lady Sue. Lady Liu and Susan too held their breath. The guard continued, his voice even and emotionless. His Highness said that eldest young Lady Sue's food picking was much to his liking. He invites young lady to Prince Cassian's manor tomorrow to continue. What? Food picking part-time? Before I could refuse, the guard finished speaking and turned to leave. Lady Liu looked at me, her gaze shifting from anger to utter panic. You, Prince Cassian summoned you to his manor? Susan too beside her clenched her handkerchief, her nails digging into her palm until it turned white. Lady Liu didn't hear my inner screams. Her face alternated between white and green, swaying and nearly falling. Fortunately, Susan too managed to support her in time. Sister? Susan too stammered, her beautiful peach blossom eyes now devoid of their usual tearful fragility, instead filled with undisguised panic and jealousy. Prince Cassian, why would he summon a disfavored, vicious woman like me and not her? The universally adored White Lotus. Lady Liu took a deep breath. Her fear of the living Asura clearly overshadowed her anger at me. She no longer dared to shriek, only trembling as she pulled my arm. Wretched girl, what exactly did you do at the banquet? What did you say to Prince Cassian? Her voice was a suppressed, fear-laden hiss. I told the truth, I honestly shrugged, pulling her hand away. I said the cakes were gone, and he didn't believe me. He was hungry, so I picked food for him. My absolute honesty was, in their eyes, clearly a clumsy lie. Do you think I believe that? Lady Liu gritted her teeth. Who is Prince Cassian? What could he want to eat that he doesn't have? Does he need you to pick food for him? Susan Lai, don't imagine that just because Prince Cassian called for you, you can turn the world upside down. Aunt Liu, I yawned. Aren't you tired from talking so much? I'm tired. Anyway, Prince Cassian's manor has already called for me tomorrow. Even if you scold me to death here, I still have to go. Or perhaps you'd like to go in my place? My words successfully rendered Lady Liu speechless. Go in my place? Even with 10 times her courage, she wouldn't dare. Mother, Susan too quickly patted Lady Liu's chest. Let's go back to the manor first. This matter needs father's decision. The general's carriage was enveloped in an eerie silence on the way back. Lady Liu huddled in a corner, muttering calculations to herself. Susan too occasionally stole glances at me, her eyes probing and inscrutable. I leaned against the carriage wall, closed my eyes, and slept. Full from eating and drinking, now it was time to rest up. I had to go to work tomorrow. Upon returning to the general's manor, sure enough, my father, General Su, the stone-faced general, was already waiting in the main hall. His expression was even uglier than Lady Liu's. Kneel! Lady Liu and Susan too immediately prostrated themselves as soon as they entered the door. I did not. I stood still, brushing dust from my voluminous dress. Father called for me, I asked. Wretched girl, General Su slammed his hand down on the tea table. You dare to stand? What good thing did you do at the banquet today? Do you know you just pushed the entire general's manor to its death? I don't know, I replied. I only know I just saved the general's manor a life. What? General Su was stunned. Lady Liu also snapped her head up. What nonsense are you talking about? Isn't it obvious? I calmly walked into the hall and poured myself a cup of tea. Today, I offended the Crown Prince. Lady Liu and Sister Tu only knew how to kowtow and cry. If Prince Cassian hadn't suddenly called me over to pick food and relieve the situation, the Crown Prince would now have an excuse to punish me. And if I were punished, could the general's manor truly escape implication? I took a sip of tea. In the end, Prince Cassian saved me. Father, instead of thanking Prince Cassian, you come back here to be angry with me. General Su was speechless. He clearly hadn't considered this perspective. Lady Liu quickly crawled forward. My lord, don't listen to her nonsense. Prince Cassian is brutal by nature. Who knows if his summoning Susan Lai has good intentions or ill ones? He is known for tormenting others. What if Susan Lai angers him? Then sister absolutely cannot go alone. Susan too suddenly interjected, her eyes welling up with tears. Father, mother, Prince Cassian is the imperial uncle, an elder. How about tomorrow I go with sister? I can serve Prince Cassian in her stead. After all, I am more careful than sister. Oh, here comes the good show. The White Lotus was making her move. She feared me, but she coveted the opportunity to get close to this powerful prince even more. I chuckled aloud. Sister too, I set down my teacup. You say serve. Who do you take Prince Cassian for? Who do you take the general's manor for? Prince Cassian invited the legitimate daughter of the general's manor to continue picking food, and you want to transform into a concubine's daughter to serve him? Are you helping the general's manor or humiliating Prince Cassian? Father, I didn't mean that. Susan too's face turned white as she turned to her father. Prince Cassian specifically named me. I looked directly at General Su. Father, if I go tomorrow, I will bear any consequences alone. If Susan too follows, and Prince Cassian gets angry because the general's manor presumptuously added someone, who will bear that fault? General Su took a sharp breath. He understood the price of angering Cassian. All right, he barked. Lady Liu, take Susan Tu back to her room. This matter doesn't concern her. Lady Liu and Susan Tu were unwilling but dared not argue. After they left, only I and my nominal father remained in the hall. He looked at me for a long time, his gaze complex. Susan Lai, you've truly changed. A person almost dies once. Change is normal. I shrugged. Father, anything else you want to instruct? If not, I'm going back to sleep. I have to leave early tomorrow. When you go to Prince Cassian's manor, he growled, be careful with your words and actions. Don't be reckless. Got it. The next morning, Lady Liu deliberately didn't prepare a proper carriage for me. She only gave me a small, old carriage, the kind used by servants for errands, clearly intending to humiliate me. I didn't care. Having a carriage was enough. I even brought a soft pillow, leaning against it and sleeping soundly on the way to Prince Cassian's manor. Prince Cassian's manor was indeed as rumored, located in a secluded, shadowy corner of the imperial city, dark and cold, with not a soul in sight. The pungent scent of traditional Chinese medicine wafted from within. Yesterday's stone-faced guard, Commander Leng, was already waiting at the gate. He said nothing, merely nodded at me and led the way. I followed him through several courtyards. There were no fragrant flowers or exotic plants here, only strange medicinal herbs and a heavy atmosphere. Finally, he stopped before a study. His Highness is inside. I pushed the door open and stepped in. Cassian was in his wheelchair, not reading, but looking at a military map. He was still wearing dark robes, still wearing his silver mask. The only morning sunlight in the room shone on the visible half of his face, making his amber eyes appear even deeper. You're here, he didn't look up. Yes, I naturally walked in. Where's your lunch? Only then did he look up, his gaze slightly peculiar. Commander Leng pushed a small table forward. I saw plain white porridge, ginseng-stewed quail soup, boiled greens, a plate of steamed fish. I looked at the food table. This is food for an Asura. This is clearly a menu for a late-stage cancer patient. Prince Cassian, I frowned. Did you invite me here to mentally torture me with food? Commander Leng, who was always by Prince Cassian's side, immediately half-drew his sword. Put your sword down, Cassian calmly ordered. He looked at me. You disdain it, very disdainful. I said frankly, yesterday at the banquet, you ate lamb chops and roast chicken, and you looked quite pleased. Why are you tormenting yourself like this today? Eating these things, no wonder your mood is always terrible, and everyone looks like they want to kill you. Susan Lai, Commander Leng roared. This prince is injured. Cassian's voice was still even. The imperial physicians advised a light diet. Light doesn't mean bland. I picked up the chopsticks and tapped them on the ginseng soup bowl. Such precious ginseng, but stewed without seasoning? What a waste! Your imperial kitchen should be completely replaced. Cassian stared at me. Then tell me, how should I eat? Wait, I suddenly turned to Commander Leng. Is there a kitchen in the manor? Commander Leng looked bewildered. Yes, with plenty of ingredients. Good, I rolled up my sleeves. The dress I chose today was also loose, convenient for movement. Today, this legitimate daughter will show her skills. After you eat, if you still want to hire me, it will be a private commission. I didn't wait for their reaction, turned directly to the door. Lead me to the kitchen, quickly, I'm hungry. Commander Leng looked at Prince Cassian. Prince Cassian didn't stop me. He only quietly watched my retreating back, the corner of his mouth, hidden behind the mask, subtly curved upwards. Half an hour later, I returned to the study carrying a large tray. The ginseng soup from earlier, I had added shiitake mushrooms, red dates, and a little shredded chicken, giving it a new flavor. The plain white porridge, I had sauteed fragrant onions and added minced shrimp. The greens, I stir-fried with garlic. The steamed fish, I drizzled with a special 21st century sweet and sour sauce. Eat, I slammed the food tray onto the table. Guaranteed to be better than your useless chefs. Cassian looked at the food, the rich aroma filling the room. He picked up his chopsticks, took a piece of fish, then paused. Then he ate the entire piece of fish, the plate of vegetables, the bowl of porridge, and completely finished the soup. Commander Leng stood beside him, his face as blank as a stone statue. He had served His Highness for many years and had never seen him eat so much. Full now? I asked. Well, Cassian put down his chopsticks, his voice seemingly content. Good then. I sat down opposite him and poured myself a cup of tea. Now, let's talk about my fee. Fee, he raised an eyebrow. Yes, I came to pick food, not to cook. Today was an exception. Next time, one dish will be 100 taels. Cassian chuckled, his laughter clearer this time than yesterday. Susan Lai, you are the first woman to dare demand payment from this prince. Then I suppose I should feel honored, I pouted. Well, deal or no deal? No deal, I frowned. Is it too expensive? This prince is not short on money, but this prince lacks someone to serve him meals. He tapped his finger on the table. From now on, you don't need to go to Tranquil Temple. I had a bad feeling. You will move into Prince Cassian's manor and cook 3 meals a day for this prince. I jumped to my feet. What? Move in here? Are you kidding me? From picking food to cooking, now I'm even moving in. Prince Cassian, from part-time, you're promoting me to full-time and making me live here too? I coughed, trying to regain my composure. Prince Cassian, your jokes are not funny at all. I am the legitimate daughter of the general's manor. How can I move into Prince Cassian's manor? Why not? He countered, his voice nonchalant. You are confined at the general's manor and also sent to Tranquil Temple. There, you would have to eat vegetarian food, no meat. This hit me where it hurt. No meat. This prince, he continued, can provide you with 1,000-year-old ginseng, top-grade bird's nest soup, venison, lamb, nothing will be lacking. I swallowed. Evil capitalist. He was using delicious food to tempt me. But my reputation, I tried to salvage. I'm not yet married. If I move in here, what will outsiders say? This prince doesn't care, Cassian replied. If you are truly worried, he suddenly looked up, his amber eyes locking onto mine, this prince would not mind bringing betrothal gifts to the general's manor tomorrow. Like a clap of thunder next to my ear, I recoiled a step, my eyes wide. What? Betrothal gifts, marry me? I looked him up and down. A rumored cripple, half his face disfigured, certainly brutal in temperament. And I, a vicious woman just dumped by the crown prince. Prince Cassian, I took a deep breath. Are you perhaps as muddle-brained as I am? You're the imperial uncle. Do you not care about becoming the laughingstock who picks up his nephew's trash? Aren't you afraid of the world laughing at you? The world, he sneered, his laugh low and cold. If this prince wishes to kill someone, the world wouldn't even dare to breathe heavily. If this prince marries a wife, who would dare to laugh? Damn, too overbearing. I couldn't argue with that. You choose, he issued an ultimatum. 1. Move into Prince Cassian's manor, and this prince will protect you. 2. This prince marries you, and this prince will also protect you. 3. Return to the general's manor, and await the day you go to Tranquil Temple to knock on the bell. Did this question even need thinking? Go to a temple to chant and eat vegetarian food. Spare me. Be forced to marry a living Asura. What if he rips me apart on our wedding night? Only option 1 sounded the safest. I gritted my teeth. Move in then, but I have conditions. Oh, he raised an eyebrow, showing interest. I am not your servant or concubine. I held up a finger. I move in as a culinary consultant. This time, even Commander Leng's shoulders trembled. He was probably suppressing laughter. I am only responsible for cooking 3 meals a day. I will not do anything else. I held up a second finger. I must have a separate courtyard, quiet and clean. No one is to disturb me, not even you. Third, I said decisively, you must pay me a salary. I work for you, and it must have a price. You pay me 500 taels of silver a month. I named an exorbitant price. I thought he would get angry or at least try to negotiate, but Cassian was silent for 2 seconds. All right. He agreed that quickly. 500 taels, that is. Commander Leng, Cassian called. Yes, your highness. Go to the treasury, fetch 5,000 taels of gold, and give them to eldest young Lady Sue. I felt dizzy. Wait, I said 500 taels of silver a month. You're giving me 5,000 taels of gold. Are you trying to buy me outright? Your salary is paid 10 years in advance, he said. From now on, you are this prince's person. I watched Commander Leng bring a small but heavy chest and place it in front of me. Gold, real gold. In my previous life, working 996 until sudden death, I never saw so much money. Ha, deal. I patted the chest of gold, tears welling up in my eyes. Prince Cassian, you are truly the best boss in Great Yen. Rest assured, from now on, your stomach is in my hands. Vying for the crown prince's favor, can those things be ground up and eaten? Gold is true love. Cassian looked at my avaricious expression, and the corner of his mouth, hidden behind the mask, seemed to curve upwards. Go back to the general's manor and pack your belongings. This prince will send someone to take you back shortly. No need, I waved my hand. My things at the general's manor are all rags, there's nothing worth taking, I'll just stay here. No, he frowned. You are this prince's culinary consultant, not an escaped convict. You must leave openly and honorably. Go back and tell your father to bring your belongings here. I pouted. Annoying, but the boss pays the salary. The boss has a point. All right. Half an hour later, I returned to the general's manor. This time, not in the shabby carriage from the morning, but in a luxurious carriage from Prince Cassian's manor. Commander Leng, stone-faced as ever, escorted me to the door. News of my return quickly spread. Lady Liu and Susan too rushed out to the main hall. When they saw me safe and sound, even looking rather cheerful, both were stunned. You're back, Lady Liu stammered. Prince Cassian didn't trouble you. Prince Cassian is a good person, I said, thinking of my chest of gold. I'm back to pack my belongings. Pack your belongings? Lady Liu suddenly raised her voice, her eyes gleaming with malicious joy. That's right, you shamed the general's manor. Prince Cassian must have begged the emperor to send you to Tranquil Temple immediately. Aunt Liu, I cut her off. You're overacting a bit. I'm packing my belongings to move into Prince Cassian's manor. Crash, the teacup in Susan Two's hand fell to the ground, shattering. Hot tea splashed onto her hand, but she seemed not to feel the pain. Sister, she trembled. You said what? Move into Prince Cassian's manor? You wretched girl, Lady Liu finally understood. She pointed at my face, trembling violently. Shameless, an unmarried daughter, how can you move into a man's residence? Do you want the general's manor to lose all face? This is Prince Cassian's command, I calmly sidestepped her. If you have an opinion, Aunt, go tell Prince Cassian. Commander Leng is right outside the door, you can tell him directly. Lady Liu was speechless, her face turning pale at the mention of Prince Cassian's name. I ignored them, walking straight to my dilapidated courtyard. I had thought I had nothing to pack, but when I pushed open the door and stepped in, I was stunned. My sparse, old room was gone. Instead, brand new furnishings, silks and brocades hung everywhere. On the table were phoenix hairpins, jade bracelets, and glittering jewels. My father, General Su, stood in the middle of the room, his expression gloomy. I was surprised. An hour ago, Prince Cassian's manor sent people over. His voice was hoarse. They said these are supplies for the prince's culinary consultant. Cassian's working speed was truly fast. The moment he agreed, the benefits arrived. Susan Lai, General Su turned around, his eyes as sharp as knives looking at me. What exactly is your relationship with Prince Cassian? What tricks did you use? Before I could answer, Susan Two's faint weeping echoed from outside. Father, mother, you must uphold justice for sister. She's being forced by Prince Cassian. She can't go down this path. She ran in, collapsing at General Su's feet, crying bitterly. Sister, wake up. If you do this, what will Crown Prince Julian think of you? You may not care about your reputation, but the general's manor does. Oh, more acting? How tiring. I was about to open my mouth to mock when a familiar, angry voice rang out from outside the door. Susan Lai, you truly are shameless. This prince just heard you returned from Prince Cassian's manor. I didn't expect you to still dare to move your belongings there. You are truly brazen. Crown Prince, what was he doing here? The original owner's ex-lover, a man I wouldn't even glance at, now aggressively stormed in. Before I could react, Susan too went even deeper into her act. She crawled from father's side, embracing the Crown Prince's leg, sobbing. Crown Prince Julian, I beg you to save sister. She must have been coerced by Prince Cassian. She's muddled-headed. Please, quickly advise her. If she moves into Prince Cassian's manor, her lifelong reputation will be ruined. A perfect play, simultaneously showing her concern for her sister, subtly reassuring the Crown Prince that her sister still loved him and was being forced, and at the same time, kicking me down into the mud of shamelessness. The Crown Prince indeed fell for it. He already saw me as a disgrace, and hearing Susan Two's words only fueled his indignation. He looked at Susan Two, kneeling at his feet, with a heartbroken gaze, all in act, then looked up at me, his eyes like daggers. Susan Lai, did you hear what Susan Two said? Even your own sister is worried about you. Yet you, for vanity, for wanting to climb higher, even cling to a crippled imperial uncle. He seemed to forget that the crippled imperial uncle he spoke of was the very man even he feared. You immediately stop this insane idea, the Crown Prince commanded. This Crown Prince will not allow you to tarnish the General's manor's reputation. I burst out laughing, my clear laughter echoing in the taut, silent room. Ha ha ha! Susan Two's sobbing stopped abruptly. The Crown Prince frowned. My father and Lady Liu also looked at me as if I were a monster. Susan Lai, what are you laughing at? The Crown Prince demanded angrily. I'm laughing. I slowly walked over, picked up a pure gold phoenix hairpin that Prince Cassian had just sent, and twirled it in my hand. I'm laughing that Crown Prince Julian has too much free time, don't you think? You're Hig. You came to the General's manor, I cut him off, to visit Sister Two, who burned her hand. I glanced at the broken teacup on the floor. Or to meddle in my private affairs. If you came to visit Susan Two, I gestured with my chin towards her, then you've comforted her, please leave. This place is too noisy, I still have to pack. And if you came to manage my affairs, I narrowed my eyes at him. Crown Prince Julian, it seems you've forgotten, we no longer have any relationship. What right do you have to come here and order me around? You. The Crown Prince's face turned beet red. He was the high and mighty Crown Prince. Never had he been spoken to so directly by a woman, especially one he had previously discarded. As the Crown Prince, you are a daughter of Great Yen. I cannot allow you to do something that ruins pure customs. Oh, ruin pure customs? I raised an eyebrow. I am openly and honorably going to work as a culinary consultant for Prince Cassian's manor with a proper salary. How is that ruinous? I suddenly tilted my head, smiling slyly. Or perhaps, Crown Prince Julian, what are you jealous of? The Crown Prince shrieked as if his tail had been stepped on. Me, jealous of you, Susan Lai? Don't flatter yourself. If you're not jealous, then why are you so agitated? I pouted. Let me tell you, I, Susan Lai, am now a person of Prince Cassian's manor, a person of your imperial uncle. If you calculate our seniority carefully, I deliberately dragged out my words, when you see me, you might even have to bow and call me Auntie. HMPH. I swear I heard Lady Liu take a sharp, near-fatal gasp. My father, General Su's face was ashen. He took a step back. Susan Two's eyes were wide, forgetting to cry. As for the Crown Prince, his face went from red to purple, then from purple to black. Shameless, he roared, pulling out the flexible sword from his waist. He pointed it at me. How dare you insult this Crown Prince? This Crown Prince shall teach you a lesson on behalf of the General today. The sword was already out. Before I could dodge, my father shouted, Crown Prince, stop! But it was too late. Clang, a deafening clash of metal rang out. The Crown Prince's sword was struck away by something. A dark figure appeared, blocking me. It was Commander Lang. Everyone in the room was bewildered when a lazy, deep voice, full of pressure, echoed from outside the door. My nephew is quite imposing these days, daring to draw a sword on even this prince's person. The ebony wheelchair slowly rolled in. Prince Cassian, he had finally arrived. The air in the room seemed to freeze. The Crown Prince's face was ashen. He looked at the sword lying on the ground, then at Cassian, who was calmly entering. Imperial uncle, he stammered. Why are you here? Cassian ignored him. His wheelchair stopped right beside me. He looked up, his single amber eye looking at me, then glanced at the pile of jewels and jade on the table. Still not done packing? His voice sounded displeased. What's taking so long? I shrugged. I was packing, then a mad dog ran in and started biting. Mad dog, he repeated. Susan Lai, the Crown Prince gritted his teeth. You dare insult this Crown Prince? Only then did Cassian turn to look at the Crown Prince. He said nothing, just gave him a cold, piercing stare. The Crown Prince, even as a Crown Prince, had to lower his head and avoid his gaze. This prince came to pick up his culinary consultant, Cassian said nonchalantly. I didn't expect to see such a good play. Crown Prince Julian is so idle that he runs to the General's manor to point a sword at his imperial uncle's person. I didn't, the Crown Prince quickly denied. It was her, she insulted me. Oh, Cassian raised an eyebrow. How did she insult you? The Crown Prince was speechless. Could he say she made him call her Auntie Susan Lai? And she even brought up this matter to provoke him. Imperial uncle? Susan too quickly crawled forward again, this time crying to Prince Cassian. Please, your highness, be discerning, sister. She was just temporarily muddle-headed. Please don't force her. A daughter's reputation. Cassian looked down at Susan too, who was crying miserably. You are Susan too? He asked. Susan too looked up, her face pitiful. Yes, your highness. This prince heard you played a zither piece at the banquet that captivated the crown prince. Susan too blushed shyly, but Cassian's voice suddenly turned cold. Your acting is not even 1/10 as interesting as when your sister curses people. This didn't just directly call Susan too fake, but also implicitly compared, saying that my mad dog bluntness was more worth watching than her White Lotus act. Susan too's face turned as white as paper. She stared at Cassian, disbelieving. Then she rolled her eyes, let out a soft "oh," and fainted. Whether it was real or fake, I didn't know. Susan too, the crown prince frantically supported her. He glared at Cassian. Imperial uncle, you're too much. Susan too was only worried about her sister. Worried? Cassian sneered. This prince thinks she's worried this prince doesn't have enough trouble already, that's what it is. He turned to General Sue, who was still frozen. General Sue, do you have any objections to this prince hiring your daughter? My father trembled. No, I wouldn't dare. Good, Cassian turned to Commander Leng. These things, he indicated the pile of jewels, pack them up and take them back. He looked at me. Let's go. I happily nodded. Let's go. I calmly walked behind his wheelchair. As I passed the Crown Prince, I deliberately stopped and whispered in his ear, Crown Prince Julian, Auntie is leaving first. You stay and take good care of your little white flower. Don't let her act too much, she'll get tired. The Crown Prince clenched his fists, veins throbbing, but dared not do anything. I happily whistled as I walked out of the general's manor, leaving a chaotic mess behind. That cheerful, out-of-place sound echoed on the quiet road of the imperial city. Following the steady clatter of the ebony wheelchair were Commander Leng and the guards of Prince Cassian's manor, some carrying my chest of gold, others carrying the pile of jewels, also mine. They followed with expressionless faces, but I bet they were cursing me as a money-grubbing vixen in their hearts. I didn't care. I was happy to leave the general's manor, where the air was still thick with the scent of green tea White Lotus and the crown prince's stupidity. I felt like the air had just been purified. You seem happy, Cassian's deep voice suddenly came from ahead. He was still slowly rolling his wheelchair. Of course, I walked a little faster to be parallel with him. Just got a raise and a change of work environment. My new boss, he's a bit strict but very fair. Simply wonderful. New boss? He tilted his head, his amber eye looking at me through the mask. He heard another strange word. It means employer, I explained. It means you're the one who pays my salary. He turned his head and looked forward. It's good to be happy. This prince doesn't like his people to look mournful. His people, he emphasized these two words. I raised an eyebrow. I liked his definition. It wasn't my woman, but my person, very clear, very professional. We arrived back at Prince Cassian's manor in silence. The atmosphere here was still gloomy and cold, just like in the morning. But this time, my mood was different. This place wasn't the general's manor, it was my office. Commander Leng led me, not to the study, but to the back. This is Serene Moon Courtyard. He stopped before a small, independent courtyard. His Highness instructed that this will be eldest young Lady Sue's residence from now on. I looked at the name Serene Moon, and it wasn't at all sparse. The courtyard was clean, with an ancient osmanthus tree. The furnishings inside were precisely the pile of jewels and brocades he had just packed up and brought back from the general's manor. Oh, I was satisfied. Very good, exactly what I wanted. I like it. Young Lady Sue, Commander Leng suddenly called me, his voice still cold as money but a little strained. His Highness, his taste is very picky. These years I cut him off. I know, he's injured, his spleen and stomach are damaged, but he still craves rich, greasy food. Commander Leng was stunned. How does young lady know? I guessed, I shrugged. The more you lack something, the more you crave it. Don't worry, I am a professional culinary consultant. Your boss's stomach is my responsibility. Commander Leng looked bewildered. I went into my room, happily admired my chest of gold, and then took a few naps. That's right, I slept. I was sleep-deprived in my previous life. This life, I had to catch up. I slept straight until evening. When I woke up, I stretched, feeling refreshed. My stomach rumbled time for work. I rolled up my sleeves and went straight to Prince Cassian's kitchen. This time, the atmosphere was not like the morning. When I walked in, a dozen busy chefs and kitchen staff immediately stopped all activity. They all turned to look at me. An old chef with silver-streaked hair and beard, seemingly the head chef, stepped forward, cupping his hands. "Eldest young lady Sue, this place is greasy and smoky, not somewhere a young lady should be." His tone was respectful, but his eyes clearly showed disrespect. I understood. I was the one who called them useless this morning, and now I was showing my face here. "Chef Zhang, I know you," I smiled. "At yesterday's imperial banquet, your lamb chops were overcooked, the roasted venison wasn't evenly seasoned, and the bird's nest soup was too sweet. Tell me," I stepped closer, "am I wrong?" Chef Zhang's face turned beet red. "His Highness is injured, his spleen and stomach are weak. And you lot are brilliant." I pointed at the simmering stew pot on the stove, full of ginseng and deer antler. "Stewing it like this isn't nourishing, it's hurrying him to his death. Do you want His Highness to die early? How audacious." The other chefs all roared. "Am I audacious, or are you incompetent?" I tapped on the chopping board. "From today, I, Susan Lai, am the culinary consultant of Prince Cassian's manor. I am responsible for His Highness's dinner. You all will listen to me. Who doesn't obey? Commander Leng?" I called out casually. Commander Leng's dark figure immediately appeared at the kitchen door. "Yes, Your Highness." His appearance made the entire kitchen go cold. "Who doesn't obey?" I smiled. "Commander Leng, drag them out and beat them until they obey." Chef Zhang and the others' faces turned pale. I turned back and gave a friendly smile. "Well, Chef Zhang, can we work now? I need a black-boned chicken, snow mushrooms, and some cod." Half an hour later, I again carried a tray of food to the study. Cassian was still there. Under the candlelight, he wasn't reading a military map, but wiping a long sword. The sword was pitch black, non-reflective, yet radiated a chilling killing intent. "Dinner, boss?" I placed the food down. "No extra charge today, it's still within working hours." He looked up, the delicious aroma already filling the room. I cooked 3 dishes, black-boned chicken and snow mushroom porridge, light yet extremely nourishing, fresh, tender steamed cod with soy sauce, low in oil, and a plate of stir-fried young greens with garlic, the garlic fried in chicken fat, not vegetable oil, making it exceptionally fragrant. "I thought you would cook lamb chops again." He put down his sword and picked up his chopsticks. "If Your Highness wishes to eat them, I can make them, but I'm not sure if you'll be alive to pay my salary after eating them." I pouted. "Eat, this is genuinely nourishing, light food." He picked up a piece of fish, then he ate the entire bowl of porridge. He ate everything, it was all gone. After eating, he said nothing, just looked at me. His gaze under the candlelight, through the silver mask, was a bit strange. Those amber eyes were too bright. Why was he looking at me so intently that my hair stood on end? Did I do something wrong, or did I cook badly? "No, very delicious," he said. "More delicious than anything in the past 10 years. This prince hasn't eaten so well." 10 years? My heart suddenly skipped a beat. 10 years. How had this war god lived for the past 10 years after being crippled? He suddenly reached out. I flinched. "What is he doing?" His hand moved very slowly over my shoulder. I could feel the coldness from his fingers. My heart pounded. Damn it, what is this Asura trying to do? Kill me to silence me because my cooking is too good. His finger gently stopped on my hair. "On your hair?" His voice deepened. "A bit of scallion leaf." Thanks. My face burned. Damn it, how embarrassing. My image as a cool, professional culinary consultant. "It's unavoidable when you're a chef," he said nonchalantly. But I swear I saw the corner of his mouth curl up. He was laughing at me. I was about to bristle when Commander Leng rushed in, breaking this strange atmosphere. "Your Highness," Commander Leng's expression was grave. "The Crown Prince is outside the manor, with Susan too." I frowned, that quickly. "They say," Commander Leng continued, "young Lady Susan too is worried about her sister, afraid she won't be accustomed to the prince's manner, and wishes to come in and serve her." I burst out laughing. "Serve me? Susan too?" She thought of a new script. Playing the White Lotus didn't work, so now she's switching to the devoted half-sister role, wanting to sneak into Prince Cassian's manor to be a spy. Imperial uncle? The Crown Prince's voice echoed from outside. This is true kindness. Susan Two's heart is truly precious. She only wants to care for Susan Lai. Imperial uncle, how can you bear to refuse? Cassian glanced at me. I shrugged. He turned towards the door, his voice lazy but bone-chilling. Commander Leng, tell the Crown Prince Prince Cassian's manor is not short of maids. If young Lady Susan Two truly wishes to enter, she may. Susan Two outside must have been overjoyed. From tomorrow, Cassian's voice grew cold, she will enter the kitchen and pick vegetables. When she can pick them as well as Susan Lai, this prince will consider it. I nearly burst out laughing. This Asura was too poisonous. Susan Two, the universally adored White Lotus, the future most beautiful woman in the capital, the one cherished by the Crown Prince, was now given a job by Prince Cassian, picking vegetables in the kitchen. And the prerequisite was she had to be as good as me. Imperial uncle, the Crown Prince's voice outside trembled with anger. You are humiliating Susan Two. Humiliation? Cassian's voice was still lazy but full of oppressive power. This prince believes Crown Prince Julian here is the one humiliating this prince. Your sister she is openly entering this prince's manor as a culinary consultant. If she wishes to enter, this prince will also give her a job. Sisters working together, isn't that perfectly aligned with sisterly affection? Or perhaps, he paused for a moment, Crown Prince Julian finds the job of picking vegetables to be lowly. The Crown Prince was speechless. To disdain it would be to disrespect the job Prince Cassian bestowed. Not to disdain it, would he truly let Susan Two, the one he loved, go into the kitchen to pick vegetables? Imperial uncle, please leave, Cassian said impatiently. This prince is tired. Commander Leng, escort the guests out. Outside, the Crown Prince's teeth audibly gritted. He clearly wanted to storm in but dared not. Finally, all that was heard was his roar, Susan Two, let's go, followed by chaotic, hurried footsteps departing. I sighed in relief. Finally, it was quiet. Boss, I turned to look at Cassian, who was calmly wiping his hands after the meal. You just scared off my future colleague. Cassian looked up, his amber eye on me. You want this prince to accept her? Spare me, I shivered. My kitchen doesn't tolerate green tea. That scent is too strong. It will overpower the aroma of the food and affect the quality of work. Cassian paused. He looked at me for a few seconds, then let out a low, cold laugh. He laughed again. Your tongue is as sharp as your knife, he said. You flatter me too much. I began to clear the dishes. Boss, any other instructions? If not, this consultant is clocking out and going back to her courtyard to sleep. I'm tired. Breakfast, he suddenly commanded. This prince wants meat-filled steamed buns. I stopped. I am a culinary consultant, not a chef taking orders. What you eat for breakfast depends on my mood. If I'm happy, you'll have steamed buns. If I'm not happy, I smiled, you'll have plain white porridge as usual. Commander Leng beside him nearly drew his sword, but Cassian only looked at me. You dare. See if I dare or not, I shrugged. I'm taking the food tray and going back to Serene Moon Courtyard. I turned and walked away proudly, leaving a living Asura frowning and a stone-faced guard frozen. I had to establish rules. I am a senior consultant, not a maid. In the following days, my life in Prince Cassian's manor settled into a strange routine. In the mornings, I slept until I woke naturally. Upon waking, I went to the kitchen. If I was in a good mood, like the day Commander Leng gave me a gold bar as a bonus, Prince Cassian would have shrimp and pork wonton noodles. If I was in a bad mood, like a rainy day when my back hurt, Prince Cassian would have plain white porridge. Commander Leng and the chefs went from fear to reverence. Because ever since I arrived, the prince, who used to eat like a cat and had a mood as unpredictable as the weather, had started eating more. Most importantly, he no longer got angry arbitrarily. As for Cassian, he never complained. Even if I cooked plain white porridge, he would eat it all. But I didn't just cook. I was someone who had sold myself to capitalism. I knew my worth. I began to seriously research his so-called injuries. I no longer made lamb chops or roast chicken. My food was both delicious and nutritious. I used various precious medicinal herbs from his treasury, combined with health and wellness knowledge I'd secretly learned online in my previous life, to cook dishes that helped regulate his spleen and stomach. Each time he ate, I observed him. I noticed his hands seemed to tremble less. His complexion also became rosier, but he still remained in his wheelchair. He never once stood up. And I noticed something strange. Every 5 days, he wouldn't let me into the study. He would lock himself inside. On those days, Commander Leng would stand guard outside, his face tense, allowing no one to approach. That day happened to be the 5th day. I had cooked a fish stew with traditional Chinese herbs. This dish was excellent for strengthening bones and tendons. I thought, since he was crippled, this would be most suitable. I carried the soup to the study, and Commander Leng immediately stopped me. "Young Lady Sue, His Highness will not dine today. He is unwell." "Unwell?" I frowned. "If he's unwell, he needs to eat even more. Get out of the way." "No," Commander Leng was firm. "This is an order. Please return to your quarters." I looked at the tightly shut door. There was no sound from within. "Commander Leng," I looked at him. "Tell me the truth. Is he crippled or sick?" Commander Leng's face changed color. "Young Lady Sue, this is not a matter you should ask about." Just then, a loud crash echoed from inside, as if something heavy had fallen. This was followed by a suppressed, pained growl. "Your Highness!" Commander Leng panicked and immediately rushed in. Without thinking, I carried the soup tray and ran after him. The scene inside the study stunned me. Cassian was not in his wheelchair. He was curled up on the floor beside an overturned table, his silver mask fallen off. For the first time, I saw his entire face. The right side was perfect, devilishly handsome, eyebrows like swords, a high, straight nose. But the left side had a long, hideous scar running from his temple all the way down to his chin. The scar was old but still terrifying. But that wasn't the most frightening thing. He was trembling, his entire body convulsing, his dark robes soaked with sweat, and his skin had turned a bizarre bluish-black color. "He's been poisoned," I shouted. "Your Highness!" Commander Leng rushed forward, trying to help him up. "Get out!" Cassian roared, his voice no longer a deep, magnetic tone. It was hoarse and full of murderous intent. He opened his eyes, those amber pupils now blood-red. He pushed Commander Leng away. "Both of you, get out!" He was clearly losing his mind from the pain. "The poison has flared up," Commander Leng panicked. "Where's the medicine? Where's the medicine?" He frantically rushed to search. I looked at Cassian writhing on the ground. This was a living Asura. This was clearly a patient enduring extreme pain. I placed the soup tray down. "Susan Lai, this prince told you to get out." Seeing me still standing there, he roared, grabbed a scroll from the ground, and hurled it at me. I dodged it. I didn't get out, I walked closer. "You're too noisy," I said. Both Cassian and Commander Leng stared at me, stunned. I squatted down right in front of him. Even with the scar on his face and his blood-red eyes, I looked straight into them. "You've been poisoned," I said, my voice strangely calm. "It's not a war injury that crippled you. For the past 10 years, you've been tormented by this, haven't you?" He stared at me, astonishment overriding even the pain. "How did you?" "I am a culinary consultant. I know everything you eat. I used nourishing medicines to suppress it, so today it's flaring up more intensely, isn't it?" I analyzed. "This type of poison won't kill you immediately. It destroys your tendons and bones, making you wish for death. Commander Leng?" I barked. "Where is his antidote?" This is an inhibitor." Commander Leng tremblingly offered a small porcelain bottle. I snatched it and opened it. "I am not an imperial physician, but in my previous life, selling myself to capitalism, I had to learn a few things to survive. I smell this. This is not an inhibitor." I gritted my teeth. "This is another type of poison, a slow poison used to asterisk feed the poison in his body. You've been making him drink this for 10 years. Commander Leng was stunned. "Impossible. This is from the imperial physician." "Imperial physician, my foot?" I was furious. "You've all been tricked. What bastard wants him to suffer like this?" Cassian, who was writhing, suddenly froze. He used his last ounce of strength to grab my wrist. "What did you say?" I said, I looked straight into his bloodshot eyes, "You've been deceived, and I think I know how to save you." The excruciating pain seemed to be halted by my words. Cassian stared at me, eyes wide, his breath ragged. "This is deadly." You dare speak nonsense," Commander Leng panicked. "This is medicine from Imperial Physician Zhang." "Your Imperial Physician Zhang wants his life." I roared in anger, throwing the porcelain bottle straight into the corner of the wall. Crash. "You fools! The poison in his body is death blood." it attacks the tendons and bones. This inhibitor of yours is bone-corroding powder. It uses another type of poison to feed the death blood, making it cling tightly to the marrow, making him live a life worse than death. 10 years? You've let him drink this for 10 years. The truth, which I yelled out based on my rudimentary chemistry knowledge and previous life's palace drama shows, made the entire study feel like it exploded. Commander Leng was stunned, his face as white as paper. "Number impossible, Your Highness." He fell to his knees, kowtowing. "This subordinate is incompetent. This subordinate deserves to die." Cassian didn't look at Commander Leng. He only looked at me, those blood-red eyes no longer holding killing intent, but an incredible shock. "Ah!" He convulsed again, the pain striking even more fiercely. "Damn it," I quickly acted. I looked at the tray of fish stew with traditional Chinese herbs I had brought. "Commander Leng, if you want him to live, trust me, hold him tight, pry open his mouth." Commander Leng didn't hesitate, rushing to hold Cassian, who was convulsing. I carried the still warm bowl of fish soup and spooned a full spoonful. This soup I had stewed with gentle traditional Chinese herbs, aiming to strengthen tendons and bones. This poison attacks tendons and bones. Even if this soup can't cure the poison, it can temporarily protect his heart meridians. "Drink." I roughly poured a spoonful of soup into his mouth. Cassian instinctively tried to clench his teeth. "Swallow quickly." I lightly slapped his scarred cheek. "Do you want to die? If you die, who will pay my salary? I still have 10 years of gold untouched. Swallow." Perhaps it was the pain, or perhaps my cursing. He gulped it down. I continued, 1 spoonful, 2 spoonfuls. When the bowl was almost empty, Cassian suddenly arched his back and spat out a mouthful of thick, black blood with a pungent, foul smell directly onto the floor. "Good." I breathed a sigh of relief. Some of the poison has been expelled. The bluish-black color on his skin began to fade. His breathing was still weak but steadier. His bloodshot eyes slowly returned to their amber color. He drifted into unconsciousness, but was clearly past the critical danger. I tiredly wiped sweat from my brow. "Commander Leng, aren't you going to quickly help him to bed? Do you want your boss to freeze to death?" "Yes, yes." Commander Leng finally snapped out of his daze, hurriedly carrying Cassian's pitifully light body into the inner resting room of the study. I looked at the chaotic mess on the floor, the silver mask lying abandoned. I sighed. Being a culinary consultant, how miserable. I have to cook, and now I even have to detoxify. I wearily walked into the resting room. Commander Leng had already covered him with a blanket. "You," I said to Commander Leng, "go outside. Young Lady Sue, I need to examine him. You're in the way here." Commander Leng hesitated, but seeing my resolute gaze, he bowed and withdrew. I sat down beside the bed, looking at Cassian's face. This was the first time I had looked closely. The right side was as beautiful as a carved statue, the left side made hideous by the scar. But now, with his eyes closed, the brutal look disappeared, leaving only exhaustion and loneliness. I took his pulse. It was weak but stable. Just then, he opened his eyes, his amber pupils staring at me. He was awake. His first reaction was to reach for his mask. I held his hand. "Looking for what? That thing is broken." He froze, instinctively wanting to cover the scarred half of his face. "You," his voice was hoarse, "aren't you afraid?" "Afraid?" I pouted. "Afraid of what, this scar?" I took a warm, wrung-out cloth and began to wipe his face. "Let me tell you, boss." I wiped over the scar as casually as if wiping away dirt. At the general's manor, I had to look at Susan Two's green tea face and the Crown Prince's idiotic face every day. Those are far more terrifying than your scar. He was stunned. "Do you think I'm a normal, sheltered young lady?" I scoffed. "I am Susan Lai, the vicious woman." "A scar won't scare me. What I'm afraid of is you dying and my 15 years of gold salary being revoked." Cassian looked at me, a long, deep gaze. Then he suddenly asked, "You said you could save this prince." "Yes," I nodded. "Your poison has been there for 10 years. It has seeped into your bones and marrow. It cannot be cured overnight. But," I smirked, "I will use medicinal ingredients. I will cook, regulate your body, and slowly force the poison out. It will be very painful and take a long time, but you will recover. Your legs," I glanced down at his immobile legs, "are also paralyzed by this poison. Once the poison is gone, your legs will be able to move again." His eyes flashed with a brilliant light, like a shooting star streaking across the night sky. "What do you want?" he asked. "Money," I said without hesitation. This treatment plan is an extra project, and it will be quite expensive. Cassian looked at me, and then he smiled. This smile was not a sneer, but a genuine smile. The scar on his face seemed to soften, making him look a little gentle. "All right," he said, "my life is yours." 1 month later, news shook the imperial city. Imperial physician Zhang, who was responsible for Prince Cassian's care, was discovered to have plotted to poison him. Prince Cassian was enraged and had him arrested that very night. Imperial physician Zhang, unable to endure the punishment, confessed that the mastermind was the Empress. The Empress wanted Cassian, the former Empress's son, to live a life worse than death to clear the path for the Crown Prince. The Emperor was furious. The Empress was confined to Phoenix Abode, and the Crown Prince was implicated, stripped of his regency power, and confined for 3 months. General Su's manor was terrified. He immediately confined Susan too, who had a close relationship with the Crown Prince, to the ancestral hall, not allowing her out, fearing contamination. Everything changed. As for me, I was in Serene Moon Courtyard, lounging on a chaise long covered in fox fur. A new item I had demanded Prince Cassian by lazily sunbathing and nibbling snacks. Young Lady Su, Commander Leng, who now treated me with divine reverence, reported respectfully, "His Highness's medicinal soup today, he refuses to drink it. He says it's too bitter." I frowned. Bitter or not, he still has to drink it, I'll go see. I wearily stood up and walked into the study. Cassian was standing. That's right, he was standing. Although he still had to lean on the table, he could stand. He wasn't wearing his mask. The scar was still there, but it no longer looked terrifying. It only added a touch of the war god's domineering presence. Complaining about bitterness. I crossed my arms, holding the bowl of dark medicine. He looked at the medicine, frowning. "Did you add Coptes this time?" "Yes, to clear your heart fire," I said, offering the bowl. "Drink it quickly," he sighed. The living Asura, the war god of Great Yen, was being forced by me to drink medicine like a child. He took it and drank it all in one gulp. "Good boy," I contentedly took out a candied apple. "A reward." He took the candy but didn't eat it, just held it in his hand. He looked at me. "Susan Lai." "Your 10-year gold demand," he suddenly said. "This prince thinks it should be cancelled." My heart dropped with a thud. "What? You're crossing the bridge and burning it, are you? You're cured and now you want to kick me out? You hateful handsome man, let me tell you." Before I could finish my scolding, he reached out and pulled me into his arms. I was stunned. He hugged me. "You're too noisy," he said, his voice deep and hoarse, his hot breath fanning my ear. "That demand is too cheap. This prince wants a new demand." "What demand?" My heart pounded like a drum. He lowered his head, his amber eyes looking straight into mine. His scar was incredibly close. "I want to be with you for life," he said. "Your salary will be the entire Prince Cassian's manor, and the title of Princess Cassian, all yours." I, who had transmigrated, originally just wanted to be a disfavored princess, eat my fill and wait to die. I ignored vying for favor, ignored the crown prince. Yet, here I was, being noticed by the most terrifying, most powerful prince in Great Yen being proposed to be exact. I looked up into his eyes. "All right," I smiled, "but I have conditions." "Tell me." "From now on, in this manor, I am the mistress, and you," I poked his chest, "you must listen to me. The kitchen will still be under my management." He was stunned, then burst out laughing. He leaned down and kissed my forehead. "All right, everything will be as you say."